Everybody's talking at the comic spot. The comic spot. The comic spot. Everybody's talking at the comic spot. The comic spot.
Will Romero is my guest, you guys. He's an up-and-coming comedian. He's friendly, see? He's the only Salvadorian stand-up comedian in New York in his work band today. He's performed all over New York. Yeah, all over New York. And he's very funny, very clever, and he's an observational style of stand-up comedy that he does. So I've been dying to interview him for a while. He just doesn't know it, but now he does. Cat's out of the bag. Welcome to the show, Will Romero. Woo!
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Talk to us about your life. Take us from the moment, the very first memory you have, all the way up to now.
My first memory I have.
And I'll take a nap.
I have the memory of an elephant, but I don't know. I remember the doctor looking at me all weird when I was born. You know, he had a cigarette. You know, he was like, "All right, job's done. Look at this ugly baby. He's a little fat baby." No, in all seriousness, my first memory is we had an earthquake in El Salvador. Yeah, my mom was bathing me because I was a child. I was like 3 years old, and I was being bathed outside. And next thing I know, my mom's grabbing me, and we're running out, and we had to run into like some hills, and we all slept outside that day. The entire town slept outside because we had an earthquake. And my mom was pregnant with my brother.
Is your mom still alive?
Oh yeah, she's still very much alive, unfortunately. But just well, my entire family is alive.
Good. So were you always funny, or did you get trained to be funny?
It's funny though. My mom was telling me the other day that she always remembered me telling jokes to everybody since I was a child. Like I always been telling people jokes because I was always like the outsider. Like when you're an outsider and you look at people sometimes, even as a child, you have to, sometimes you see that something is wrong with people, and you gotta bring it out. And I grew up in a very religious upbringing. My family, they were Jehovah Witness, old school Jehovah Witness, like old school Latino. So, so I always knew that something was off. It didn't matter what it was. Like after a while, you realize, oh, they're lying to you. So you might as well crack a joke at them. Like they always talked about Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve. And I'm like, wait a minute. I will always raise my hand and ask a question like, okay, Adam and Eve had 2 sons, Cain and Abel. And then one of them got jealous, killed the other one. But then Adam got really old. So who started making the babies? And they don't know what to tell you. And you got him at that point. So I believe that's where the comedy comes from. They used to use me as a child to go and knock on the people's doors and sell the magazines. So that's where the comedy comes from, I would say.
Wow, my goodness sakes. So what were you like in school? Like what, were you quiet? Were you also funny in school?
Actually, no, I always have been very introverted. But in El Salvador, the first 12 years of my life were in El Salvador, and I was always a good student. I was always like number 1, number 2 student, because they do a thing in El Salvador that if you're stupid, they let you know.
He's
So
stupid.
yeah, if you're dumb and stupid and you're not getting that 2 + 2 is 4, they will let you know immediately, you know? So they only had 2 prizes. They only had 3 prizes. Student 1, student 2, and student 3. And student 3, sometimes they would not even like bring them up because they're like, it's only gotta be 2 of them, right? Like the smart one. And I was always 1 or 2 from 1st grade to 5th grade. But then when I got here in 1997 and I went to school here, I went to Brooklyn in a lower I forget the name of that part of Brooklyn, but how do you say it without being politically correct? The fucking ghetto. And and I didn't know the language. English is my second language now, and I I tried to be funny, but I didn't know how to be funny, you know. And I remember one time I got angry 'cause I didn't like the way that things were going in my house, you know. We truly didn't have a house. We were living with my grandparents, um, sleeping on the floor because we didn't have a house, and cockroaches will get into our heads. Like I'm not even joking. Like I wish I could make this into a joke, but I can't because it's so true. And one time I got angry and I saw a kid throw a book out the window. So I started throwing books out the window, and it makes me feel so guilty till today. Because I'm a big reader, I'm always reading. That's a funny thing. I'm always reading, and I feel guilty that I threw a book out the window. I threw a few of them. I got suspended from that one on the 6th grade or 7th grade.
Mhm.
And then I moved to Long Island a year later.
Wow, that's a big jump.
Yeah, because you're always on alert from being in a tough school in middle school to going to a high school in the suburbs. And it's really weird because I will look at kids, and I would talk to other kids, and I'm like, these guys are so not aware of what could be out there, you know. And that's when you start observing. That I would say that's the other part of the comedy, that you observe how certain people behave when they have lived in a safe place, you know. Like
Absolutely.
we had a civil war when I was a child in El Salvador. A civil war broke out, and we had to keep moving and moving. And I would see soldiers and hear, bullets go out. I would see tanks and helicopters. And then you move to Long Island in the suburbs, and you're like, nobody here knows what could actually happen. And it's kind of scary when you look at it that way, though. So
Yeah.
you get to really observe how people, like some kids are worrying about their math homework. I was worried that a grenade was not going to fall into my house at the age of 5. So there is a big difference on what somebody's priorities are.
Americans think that a civil war is civil.
Um, I don't know, man. I don't know where we are at right now.
Do you know
Like
what I mean? Do you know what I mean when I say we Americans have no idea what a civil war is? They just think it's something that's civil, like it's calm, people agree. It's not civil at all.
the moment that they're gonna have a boot on their neck, that's when they're gonna wake up. And I don't even think they're gonna wake up then.
No,
You know,
we are so spoiled here.
I
So
think that
close.
yeah, that was the words of George Orwell. The future is a boot sitting on your neck. And I think that we are just about there. I think a huge awakening is about to happen, and it's a great time to do comedy
Yeah.
because we need to laugh.
People need to laugh. You could go on stage right now, no jokes, and just go up and go blah, 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 blah for 5 minutes, and people would die laughing. That's how bad people need to laugh.
That's how bad comedy has gotten. You know, like I remember when Trump came in 2015. That's almost 9 years ago. If you really stop to think about it, that's 8 years ago. 2015. Everybody started saying Trump jokes, and after 4 months, I'm like, this is not gonna end well. This comedy is not going to last. And till today, I did a show the other day, and I opened up for a headliner, and she was still doing Donald Trump jokes. And I'm thinking to myself, you haven't written any material. Wow. Where have you been?
Jeez. Wonder who that is. I don't want to know.
Uh,
Don't
I'm not gonna say her name. I don't think
don't
it's.
tell me. What's it like doing comedy all over New York? Take us through that. We want to know.
It's painful. It's painful. I did 3-minute open mics for the first year. 3-minute open mics, and I will have to do it on a Sunday. I call it the Sunday grind. You start downtown, and you end up almost in Staten Island by 10:30 at night. Yeah, and you're bombing. You're bombing for the first 4 open mics. After a year, you figure out that you got some material. You take your material into a Broadway Comedy Club in 53rd Street, and you do okay, and then you bring that same set to Long Island, and you realize that you can get away with more on certain things. You don't have to be so politically correct. So, because I don't want to be politically correct ever. I think it's a waste of saliva to be politically correct. It is. It's horrible. But you gotta, it's painful. I will say that's my least favorite part. My favorite part is performing and getting the laughs. Exactly where you wanted them.
Yeah. So, what is it that made you go on stage to do stand up?
That's a great question.
Never been asked before.
It's a great question. No, 'cause it's funny how I got in there. 2 people had to die. Uh, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. 2 people had to die. A relative of mine. This is back in. Well, let's go back a little bit. I was in high school here in Long Island, and a teacher, an educator, a professor. I told this person, I'm gonna be a comedian. Uh, so they're like, okay, let me know when you're a comedian, and we'll come and see you. This is 2003, by the way. 2011, my grandfather died, and I meet a cousin of mine at the funeral, and they are very religious. And at the funeral, all these religious Jehovah Witness, they're singing a song. Somebody was playing the piano, like you're gonna go to heaven and we're gonna meet you. All these, retarded songs they have, and the song ended, and I started applauding. You're not supposed to applaud at a funeral. And literally everybody turned to look at me and my 2 brothers like, you assholes. And I just looked at my 2 brothers like, it's a good time to go have a cigarette. And yeah. So we went out for a few drinks with my cousin, and she told me, you're really funny. You should be a stand-up comedian. And I said, yeah, I'll be a stand-up comedian. So that's the second person I'm telling I'm gonna be a stand-up comedian. The third person is this guy that used to look like Bourdain. Remember Bourdain, the guy that committed suicide?
Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, Anthony Bourdain. Like Anthony Bourdain and Bill Clinton. Like he looked like Bill Clinton and Bourdain mix. And he was doing the
My
website.
head hurts.
Yeah, he had a big fucking head too. And oh, this guy he was like a tall white dude. Like he looked like Bill Clinton. And he was developing the website for a business I was running. And one day by accident, I emailed him a list of jokes and the way I write it, because I write it like George Carlin style, from good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to thank you, have a good night, word by word. And he kept telling me, he's like, hey man, this is actually funny. You gotta get on stage. You have to go and perform. Um, so that happened, and I kept saying, yeah, 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 yeah. I kept blowing them off. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it eventually. And then my cousin died, very young lady. She passed away, and I'm like,
How'd she
oh, that's
pass?
horrible.
What? How did she pass away?
Um, by choice.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. No, no. Listen, it happens.
Mhm.
So Cinco de Mayo comes the next year, and this friend of mine, the one that looked like Bourdain and Clinton mix, he fell down and he broke his elbow. And then he got sepsis because he got drunk. That's what happened. He was celebrating Cinco de Mayo, and he had one too many. He fell down, broke his elbow, and at the hospital. Don't ever, if anybody listening to this, do not go to South Nassau Hospital in Nassau County, Long Island. They kill you. They kill you. He has sepsis from there. And before he was dying, he actually called me and he's like, hey man, I really want you to be a comic. You're really funny. And I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he died the next day. So while those two people pass away, that teacher from high school found me on social media.
No way.
Yeah, and she's like, so are you a comedian now? And I'm like, oh shit, this is the third person that I have promised to be a comedian. So two people die. I don't want the third one to die. And one day I got really drunk on a Tuesday night. And on Wednesday I was hungover. I didn't want to be because I didn't like the way that things were going. And
And you killed her?
no, no, I didn't kill her. No, I said I went online. I'm like, let me find out if they have an open mic. And I found an open mic at 3 o'clock. New York Comedy Club. I think it's First Avenue and 17th Street or 22nd Street. I forget. And I went there 3 in the afternoon. Uh, and I'm sweating bullets. I'm nervous. I'm like, this is a mistake. This is not what I want to, this is a mistake. Why the hell am I doing this? And this is a funny story though. The person that goes before me is this woman that is doing a monologue of driving her grandfather to the hospital. So she grabbed two chairs from the floor, brought them up on stage, turned them around, and if you laugh, she would throw a lemon at you. And she said something funny. She threw a lemon, and it missed me. She said something else that was okay. It was horrible comedy, by the way. It was horrible, but she still managed to say something kind of funny. And I laughed, I giggled, and she threw a lemon and it hit me right in the eye. Now I'm sweating even more at this point because I'm next. Uh, they call my name. I get up on stage. I forgot all my material. All my material was was forgotten. And the only thing that came to my mind was, wow, life gave me lemons today and I don't have a blender. And I got a laugh, a really good laugh.
And then all your material came back.
Yeah, it was awful material. It was just awful, stupid things. I was trying to be like, what's his name? Joey Diaz. You know who Joey Diaz is, huh? I wanted to tell funny stories and things like that, but it just came out really bad, you know. But who cares? You know, you got the first laugh, you become addicted to that. I became addicted to that laughter and the adrenaline going through my body. I'll never forget that though, because I was so nervous. I went to a bar after that, and I literally drank 2 glasses of whiskey, and I didn't feel a thing. I didn't feel drunk at all. I even asked for a third one, and I still felt sober.
Wow. That's the adrenaline talking.
Yeah, it was something that and it's really weird how one changes. I that was June 4th, 2018, at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I'll never forget. Like I couldn't get drunk from whiskey, and now it's almost a year without a drop of alcohol.
Wow.
So,
Now you
so
just you eat
yeah.
it frozen.
I'm sorry.
Now you eat it frozen.
You're breaking up. I'm sorry.
No more drops of alcohol. You eat it frozen.
Yeah, no, I can't. I cannot drink anymore. It's so weird, you know, because I got to see what I look like with a little hungover when because you know you tape your set and you know that something is off, and then you look at your tape when you're 100% sober, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh wow, that's landing, that's working. So you make a choice, you know, to be funny at all times. Don't drink. Simple.
It's so true. You can't do comedy when you're under the influence. You can't work and drink at the same time. Who does that?
A lot of people,
They
a lot of
don't do it well.
a lot of comedians, they're always getting high before going on stage. And I I, I smoked pot one time at an open mic before I went to do my set,
Mhm.
and I couldn't. Nothing could come out. Nothing good. I was so mellow. I that edge that you need is not there. And that's when I'm like, no, this is so dumb. And thank God it was just an open mic, you know. But I can't. I have to be sober 100% now.
Me too.
Just yeah.
Me too. Tell people what it's like moving up the ladder in New York City in comedy. What to
Walada,
expect.
walada. There is no ladder. I mean, yes, there is a ladder, but sorry. Oh, it's a rough industry. It's rough. It's rough. Is everybody wants to perform at the major clubs. You know, everybody wants to perform in the main clubs, and that transition from doing bringer shows to just being on stage without having to do bringers, I would say that's a big transition. And I'll give you an example. Like this morning, first thing in the morning, I was not even finishing my coffee, and I get a message from AKA from a producer, and in the terms and conditions to perform at a club that she's producing a show were so bad. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing a bringer show for you and not expecting to. Okay, I'll do a bringer show, but you gotta pay me. It's just that simple.
Yeah,
You gotta, if I'm bringing you revenue, I need to have an incentive.
exactly.
And right. And then she's throwing me all these other shows everywhere else. And she's telling me, oh, this is gonna get you exposure. I'm like, no, you gotta guarantee something, you know? I'm doing this 5 years. I got a bachelor's in comedy at this point. You get a bachelor's degree, you come out, you need to start getting paid a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's
Your
right.
your your internship is done. That's it. Your internship is done. You know, you're making people laugh. You have a solid set, um, and you're calling me to do a show. So what are you offering? Don't I didn't call you. You call me. I was not even done with my coffee before you called me. So and it's just a weird mentality. And I would say that the moment you say no, I'm not doing that,
Mhm.
you have moved up the ladder
Wow.
because that word no is so powerful in any business. I would say, you know. What's his name? Or the Godfather? What was his name? Marlon Brando.
Oh, okay.
Marlon Brando said that they would send him all these crazy scripts all the time after he won for the Godfather, and he would keep saying no, no, and then he would get a movie. Unfortunately, it didn't work out too good for him, but you know, but I would say that there is that word saying no and staying your ground. You move up the ladder, you know, because that bringer show mentality is killing the industry. It's killing it really bad. I did a show at a major club in New York. I'm not gonna say the name, and it was a bringer show. They required 10 people. I got because it's a numbers game. You know, if you're gonna play the game of a bringer, you have to play a numbers game. You know, so I need 5 people. I have to ask 20.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta ask 15. If they want 10, you gotta ask 50 people. At the last minute, I had 18 people come to the show, and 2 did not show up. So I had 20 paid guests, and it's incredible what you get to see sometimes because because of my last name it starts with an R, Romero. I am always at the bottom list because it's alphabetically done, and also you have more people on the show, so they want to keep you for last. And this club, this was back in February. The 3 comedians before me, I got nothing against the other comedians. They are doing the best they can, but they had a lady there giving a TED talk. TED, is how you call it, a TED talk about the new generation having to be more polite to the older generation. And I'm just like this. I'm like, when are the jokes? When are the jokes coming?
Yeah.
And that's 6 minutes, and then sorry, and then the comedian after her also bombed, and the comedian after that one, he got okay laughs. I wouldn't say he completely bombed, but that's 18 minutes. That's 18 minutes of not really getting a good laugh. I came in and I got a laugh, a really good laugh, right from the first sentence, and it was 6 minutes of killing. The energy from the room got back to what it meant to be, a
Yeah.
comedy night.
They were dying to laugh by the time you got there. They were ready.
Right. So, and after that, it's so funny though. Like the producers, I find them very interesting. I go back and I sit down, and then a really beautiful looking girl from Tennessee, like a beauty pageant. She looked like a Playboy bunny type of look. Um, she went up. She bombed. Let's be honest. She bombed. She gets off the stage, and the producer running after her like a schoolboy And I'm just like, okay, she bombed, you run after her. I just killed. You didn't come and talk to me.
Crazy.
And then they tell me after a few minutes, they tell me, oh, we would like you back. Email me tomorrow, first thing in the morning, and we can talk. I emailed them first thing in the morning. When is the next show? I know you want me back. They said do it 2 weeks from now, and I agree. 4 days later, I get the email. You need to bring 10 people again. And I was talking to the rest of the comedians there, and I'm thinking, good. Did they ask you the same thing? And they go, yeah. I'm like, so no, nobody should be doing that. Okay, we'll bring people, but you gotta. What is the incentive?
Well, when you went the first time and you killed, you should have been passed by the club to be on the regular club shows.
Right. And that's the part that you were saying about the ladder. It's like,
There is
okay,
no ladder.
where is the ladder? Like the business part is the worst part about it to me.
Yep.
Because for some reason, somewhere, somehow, somebody got the idea that the talent should not be respected. And I believe that's about to change with everything going on right now in the country.
Yes. Well,
You know,
tell us where you're going to be performing in the next week or two, and then tell us where to follow you on social media, please.
They can follow me on Instagram at Will Romero 48. That will be WILLROMERO 48. And I'm gonna be actually in Vegas next week. The 13th, I'm gonna be in there. It's not next week. It's 2 weeks from now. I'm sorry.
Where are you going to be performing in Vegas?
At the Noi Poi restaurant.
Mhm.
They're having a club. Actually, it's a restaurant club.
Mhm.
I was not aware of.
Noi Pits.
Yeah, they actually changed the venue a few days ago. I'm still on the show. I'm still gonna be performing, and then I come back to New York, and I'm gonna be at Governor's Comedy Club. That's
When?
another
Which one?
Levittown, May 6th.
May 6th in Levittown. I think
Yeah,
I'm on McGuire's on the 14th. I'll let you know. Where do you live?
I live south of Levittown.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the South Shore of Long Island. South Shore represent, and yeah, the South Shore of Long Island. That's where Tim Dillon is from, actually.
Nice. Do you know
Yeah,
him?
unfortunately, we crossed paths when he was doing drugs and I was doing drugs. We went buying drugs in the same places.
Well, thank you for coming on. I'm going to let you go. And it's been so wonderful to have you here sharing your life and even some of the deep sadness that you've gone through. But out of it has come so much observation and comedy. And you're so in touch with the deeper things in life. And that's what's going to make you funnier than the rest because it's coming from a real place.
Thank you. And I am the only Salvadorian comedian in New York. Like he hit me the other day. You have no idea.
That's so special.
I don't know if it's special. I think it's kind of shameful that nobody else is doing it. Because it's just like one of those things. Like, wait a minute, I'm the only one. I've been looking around. Who's the next guy doing this? And
Yeah.
I cannot find him or her.
Oh man.
Any other Salvadorians doing comedy, it's so odd, so weird. I have to have a certain responsibility now.
Yeah, you're carrying the torch. It's like the Olympics. You're
Yeah,
representing your country.
Yeah, the retarded Olympics, if anything, but you know,
Thank you so much, Will. Will
thank you.
Romero, everybody. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Linda.